Alright, let's try this again. And hopefully y'all can hear me. Let's see. So, okay, y'all can hear me now. So, what y'all want to talk about? Since the first time didn't microphone wasn't turned on for some reason. I'll tell you one thing. This whole coronavirus thing is kind of crazy in a way. Let me know what y'all want to talk about. I actually just had a death in the, well, it is in the family, but it's not. Um, it was actually my cousin's boyfriend who just passed away on Monday. And it's kind of a wake up call. I will tell you one thing. This whole coronavirus type thing is really affecting uh, ad revenues in a way. I guess because of everything, stocks being down and all. Still, I've been trying to figure out what kind of videos to do and all. I haven't given up, but I'm getting over a little cold right now. Says there's one person in here, but 2 likes. Nobody's talking on the chat. So I don't really know if anybody's actually truly in here or not. Figured I'd go live for a little bit since I haven't been live in quite some time. I actually took my truck down for um, recall service, and hopefully we get it back. It needs a lot of work done to it, but I haven't had the money to do it. Without money, you can't do work on anything. So it just hasn't got done. I'll tell you one thing. Some things that just shock me, and in a way it's political, but in a way it's not. I mean, I guess it is political because it has everything to do with political. It's just some of the comments that have been made by the Democratic presidential candidates. Some of it hasn't been very appropriate, if you ask me, but that's just my opinion. Everybody has their own opinion. Before everybody starts flipping out, I mean, anybody that uh, gets cursing at the voters, in my opinion, it's not very bright. In my opinion, I don't know why anybody would want to vote for somebody that's going to curse at somebody that could be voting for him. So, and then Speaker of the House, in my opinion, is never really liked our president. Hasn't liked him since day one, actually. But when you try to impeach somebody before they even take office, that says a lot. I'm still working on the Happy Retreat video. Still haven't heard nothing back from them. Don't really know if I'm going to hear anything back from them because right now they're remodeling it and they're restoring it back to its original state. So don't really think that they want people in there with cameras filming videos and all that. I do know they do events there every once in a while, but they do events there every once in a while, but that is a planned event. So, like I said, I'm still working on it. I might take y'all by there one day, but that's not saying I'm going to be able to do a video or anything other than let y'all see the house from the road. Because it is privately owned. Well, it's not private. Yeah, it's privately owned. So, even though it is funded from a organization that it gets donations, it's still privately owned. So, there's just a whole lot of stuff you got to go through to get stuff like that approved. And because I don't have a manager or any of that stuff, it's all put on me. I tell you, I don't even really know what how good of a resolution and all this live stream's got, because other than I'm checking it on my phone right now, so to see what all is what it's like and all, but yeah, probably shouldn't have waited till almost 12 o'clock at night. But a lot of my subscribers is actually on the other side of the country. Subscriber count has dropped huge amount, and it's kind of nerve wracking in a way. I mean, to work as hard as I'm trying to work to get y'all videos and content and all that good stuff up there, it's kind of nerve wracking when you see those numbers start declining. You got to put content out there in order to keep the numbers up, and I have been kind of slacking lately. Like I said, I've been getting over a cold, so I haven't been able to put out a whole lot of videos and all that. I know tomorrow I have to, hopefully sometime tomorrow, I've got to go pick up my truck. Y'all seen a little bit of it in the last video I posted. Y'all saw very little bit of it actually. It needs a lot of work. It needs a lot of cleaning. It hasn't been taken care of the best. It's a truck that's getting passed down to me. So, I mean, it wasn't my truck from the start. If it had been, I probably would have taken care of it pretty good. But since it hasn't, then yeah. I will tell you one thing though: if y'all ever try starting a YouTube, you've got to stay constant. You got to be on your game. There's a lot of ignorant people. There's a lot of mean people out there, and I will tell you, there is a lot of people that will try to bring you down. And I mean, when I say they will try to bring you down, they will call you names. They will accuse you of being on stuff that you've never tried in your whole life. And it's just, they will literally bully you for no reason at all. They'll bully you just for the fun of it. And, you know, it's like, I don't know if any of y'all have heard of her. I watch her. I watched her before the breakup between her and Lance Stewart. But if y'all have heard of Lizzie Wurst, she has been going through a lot. And she's overcoming a lot too. Surprisingly, me and her share birthdays. Same day, different year. But she's been bullied a lot. She's been getting bullied a lot from people that just don't have nothing better to do but to bully people. And I sometimes wonder if the people that was trying to bully me on my channel weren't the people that dropped off the channel. I was up to like 4.3. And it has dropped. Or no, yeah, it was like 4.3 thousand subscribers. Now I've dropped down to like 3.9 thousand subscribers, 3.99 thousand. So I still got a good amount. Um, but yeah, and it's just if you let them bully you, they're gonna bully you. If you don't let them bully you, they won't get what they want. But I was saying, we lost somebody who was like family to us in a way. She'd been dating my cousin for at least 4 years in my book. Um, he's a sweet guy and all, and it's just devastating because his family, sadly, wasn't there for him, and my cousin was there for him every minute of his life since she met him, which was about uh let's see, she's lived there at her apartment for 6 years, which is about 4.5 years. Um, and just a couple weeks ago, he was in the VA hospital, and I was the one taking her back and forth to from. I was the one taking her back and forth from the VA hospital to her apartment to the VA hospital. And so I know how much she loved him. I know how much she cared about him. And I know how much he loved her and how much he cared about her. And sadly his family wasn't there for him. You know, he said before he died he didn't want to be cremated. And his family comes up after he passed away. They clean out all of his paperwork, and they took his car. Now he was moved to Eccles Spencer Funeral Home, which is a funeral home up here in Charlestown, by the fire department until the family could make arrangements and all. And we find out that his family is going to cremate him. The one thing the man asked, the one thing the man said he did not want before he died, he did not want to be cremated. And his family doesn't want to pay for it, doesn't want to pay for his service. So the military will pay $2,000 towards a service because he was a veteran. But yeah, it's just sad. And for us, it's just a reminder of how cold-hearted some people can be. I mean, here his own family didn't want nothing to do with him when he was alive. But yet, the minute he dies, they're up here getting his stuff. And, to me, I mean, I didn't even know him that well. But it just breaks my heart. One, to know that here he was he was in the military. So he served for our country. And here, one of our own military men is getting treated like crap after he is passed. He was treated like crap by his family, sadly, before he passed. And my cousin was the only one there for him. I mean, me and my parents and all we were there for both of them. She was there with him when he passed. He passed away at home in his apartment, and I'll tell you, after we got the phone call, we went to be with my cousin because we knew she was going to be upset, and it just breaks my heart to see one of our military men, whether it's before they pass or after they pass, our military men and women should be treated with the most respect. They should be respected while they're still here on Earth, and while they're still here on Earth, and after they're long and gone. And sadly, that it's just it. This isn't the first time it's happened. I'm pretty sure it's happened to many families or many of our military men and women. And even though my cousin was pretty much his fiance, she doesn't have a say because she wasn't married to him. And and she doesn't get to say, no, he didn't want to be cremated. He wanted to be buried. And it's just a crying shame, if you ask me. And I will say, because like I said, my cousin and him he lived in, and my cousin lives in still. They were actually neighbors, and they fell in love. And so my cousin is dealing with the manager of the apartment complex, who has tried to pull things before. She is sadly and I know it's happened in the past, because the love of my life's uncle passed several years back. I mean, he's been gone for more than several years now, I believe. 6 years, actually. And the apartment my cousin lives in it was the love of my life's uncle's apartment before he died. And literally within the same week that he died, she got a call saying that she'd been approved. She'd gotten that apartment literally the same week he had died. And I'll tell you, they cleaned his stuff out, threw it in the trash. So that's one thing we're trying to keep from happening. We're trying to keep his stuff from going in the trash. He served our country. He meant the world to my cousin. So we're trying to keep his stuff from being thrown in the trash. The manager actually started telling us that HUD says it's 14 to 15 days that if somebody dies, their apartment has to be cleaned out. State law states that if the rent is paid, you have to the end of the month. So And we pointed that out to her the other day when we was over there. Me and my dad and my brother are actually going to be the ones to go in and remove his stuff and remove his furniture and all for my cousin. And we talked to my cousin earlier, and she says we asked her because we didn't want to move it. We don't want to go in there and move his stuff if she's not ready. And so, yeah. But I'll tell you, it's just a complete shame when someone that you love doesn't get what they want after they pass. It's really a shame when our men and women of the military passes and they don't get the respect that they deserve. So I think that's enough for me going on and on about that story. But since we got 3 people in here, let me know what y'all want to talk about. I'll tell you one thing before I end that story. He actually had a cat, and after his remains had been removed from his apartment, we had to go up to his apartment with my cousin, and he had a cat, so we had to go in there and get the cat. Now the cat's living with my cousin, but I I have a cat as a I have a cat of my own, and I've picked her up millions of times now since I've gotten her. But I will tell you, this cat that Jack had, which was my cousin's boyfriend who passed away. At one point, it was a feral cat. It was an outdoor cat. It was wild. And this cat, they rehabbed the cat to be a house cat. And, you know, sometimes those cats are not, they don't want to be house cats. Those cats will tear your head off sometimes. Sometimes they don't want to be picked up. And we had to catch the cat. And the cat was nice and all, surprisingly. And because I know how to work with cats from my days at the shelter, I got the cat to come to me. I picked the cat up. I will tell you, for a little bit, I thought that cat was going to tear my face off. But she calmed right down, and we moved her over to my cousin's apartment. So we've got 2 people in here. I don't know who's watching because I don't really think it shows me. Yeah. So whoever's watching, I guess, doesn't have a whoever's watching, I guess, doesn't have a YouTube account. That's all right, I guess. You can't like the videos or anything. You don't have a YouTube account, though. Well, that's the thing. His family actually came up and took all his paperwork. His family didn't really want anything to do with him when he was alive. The minute they were contacted and told that he'd passed away, they came up and got literally any paperwork that was in his apartment. They cleaned out every bit of the paperwork, and his vehicle. They hauled his vehicle off, which to me, I will say, they, when he was in the hospital, um, his family didn't want to come up to see him, and then when he came home, they still didn't want to come up and see him. And then, to me, it's like his family was all about the money, sadly. And I think he did have children, but he didn't have anything. His children didn't have anything to do with him. It's really a complete shame and sadness and all. I mean, it's truly heartbreaking to me. I mean, I know things happen, but you know, you only get one life. He actually ended up dying of a heart attack. I'll be glad when I get rid of this cold, though. Yeah, my mom's a genealogist. She's been doing genealogy for years. Like, for as long as I can remember, she's done genealogy. I mean, she's even tied me and my family and all to President Ulysses S. Grant. She's tied us to Patsy Cline. Uh, she's tied us to a bunch of people. Oh, she's gone way back. I don't know exactly how far she's gone back, but I mean, she's gone way, way back. I mean, every time she breaks her laptop, we literally have to get a laptop um, that's big enough, that has a hard drive big enough just for her family tree and her ancestry.com and all that. So one thing I don't look forward to reinstalling because it takes hours and hours to reinstall. It's pretty cool what you can find out with doing genealogy, I will say. Because there are people you would never even guess that you was related to. You can find out that you was related to them. I don't really know. I mean, I don't really get into genealogy and stuff like that. That's more her thing. But I don't really know exactly where we're out of and where our ancestors are out of. Out of. Trying to figure out some stuff. That's pretty cool. No, I'm in West Virginia. Charlestown, West Virginia. It used to be Virginia at one point, a long time ago. Cool. We got 3 people in here now. Says we're. Oh, that's cool. It always amazes me how they build those great big ships and they float. And some of those ships, you look at them and you think, oh, that thing's gonna sink. Nope, they put it on the water and it floats. That's cool. I think my mom has some relatives in Florida. Don't know what area of Florida though. That's cool. Probably could have got more people in this chat in this live stream if I would have done it a little bit earlier, but I tried it earlier and the mic wasn't on for some reason. Tried to figure out what was going on. I got security cameras going crazy because it's raining. And then this swine flu going around. Gotta make sure you take extra precautions. Make sure you don't. Make sure you don't catch it. It's crazy how many people have lost their lives due to this coronavirus. But then again, I don't really think people take the precautions that they should nowadays. Like the littlest thing you can do is make sure you wash your hands and all. Use sanitizer. I mean, those kinds of things can be your best friend when it comes to stuff like the coronavirus. It's definitely crazy how the schools are now closing their doors over this coronavirus. That's how bad it's getting. I'm actually looking at stuff on Facebook while I'm doing this live stream. Hey, Snickers. Leave her alone, Winston. Hey, Princess. Hey, Snickers. My cat's wanting up on. Yeah, I got a cat. I got one cat. Where's Snickers? Winston's my dog. Come on. Come on. Come on. Winston, leave her alone. Yeah. Ah, that's depending on if she gets up here. Come on. Come on, Snickers. Come on. I did a previous video with her, but I don't think she weighs that much, but she might weigh 15 pounds. I got my cat from the animal shelter I used to volunteer at. Might as well have worked at. Yeah. Winston. Yep. She actually got adopted out several times and returned while I was volunteering at the shelter. But me and her grew a bond. The first time she came in the shelter, she was terrified, and I was the one that actually got her not so terrified and got her back into being around people and all. Well, I wasn't the biggest fan of cats before her, but my time at the animal shelter got me to like cats. And then finally, after she'd been returned so many times, my parents let me get her, and that's when I adopted her. Finally said, that's enough. She's about maybe 9. I think she was like 6 years old when I got her. When I got her, I only had one dog, and then the dog I had actually got cancer, and we actually lost her to cancer last January. And then we got uh, 2 more dogs. Yeah, she does. Yep. Yeah, well, the first time she came back, the woman that brought her back claimed she couldn't have her anymore. Then we found out she had a whole house load of cats. So that didn't really make sense. And then she was adopted out to a family uh, who had a bunch of kids and other cats. Well, she doesn't really tolerate other cats. And the girl that actually did the adoption uh, didn't really listen to anybody else. She did what she wanted to do. And even though me and another volunteer asked her not to send her to that home, the one employee did what she wanted to and sent her to that home. even though we knew right off the bat it wasn't going to work. Because the family had a bunch of little screaming kids. And I mean, she does kids to a point. She's better with older kids, though. Not a whole bunch of young kids, and that's just what that family had. And I believe the kids just pulled her tail and just was mean to her. And I think that's, and they claimed she was just going to the bathroom anywhere she wanted and all that. But then when I got her, I knew all the stuff that they claimed that she was doing was a lie. I seen some stuff my time at the shelter because I was there. I pretty much worked there. I was there every day of the week, pretty much. And I seen some animals come in there that it was heartbreaking. It truly was heartbreaking. I mean, I would see dogs come in there that was being surrendered to the animal shelter that was like 12 years old, and even though we was a no-kill shelter, uh, even though we was a no-kill shelter, with dogs, especially with certain breeds, if once they hit 12 years old, they pretty much lived their life. Yeah, that's what we said. But I seen dogs come in there that was like 12 years old, and the family would surrender them. I seen people bring cats in there, surrender them, and you could just tell by the look on their face that some of them was just surrendering them to be surrendering them, whether they've got a new puppy or it was sometimes it was there was times when I worked at the shelter, it was just heartbreaking. I mean, I volunteered at the shelter for like 3 years, might have been four, and I pretty much worked there. I just didn't get paid. I was there from 7 in the morning to some days it was 7 in the morning to 12, or no, 7 in the morning to 1, and then some days it was 7 in the morning to 4 in the evening. So I pretty much worked there. I just didn't get paid for it. And I did see a lot of people that they just didn't commit to the animals. And I mean, with some dogs, it's easier on the dog to just it's sadly easier on the dogs once they hit 12 years to just put them down rather than to put them through uh rather than to put them through the stress that those animals go through at the animal shelters. As sadly as it is to say, I mean, 12 years they pretty much lived their life with some breeds. I mean there is some breeds that go to be 15, 16, 17 years old, but not many. I mean, I even seen a dog get surrendered because the owner kept bringing home small dogs. He kept he kept fostering small dogs from the animal shelter, and he was showing all his time and love to these small dogs that he kept fostering for some reason, and this bigger dog got jealous, and who he had since he was a puppy, and went after the small dogs, and he surrendered this dog that he'd had since he was a puppy because of his silliness. And then he blamed it on the dog for not, and said the dog didn't do small dogs. I mean, I was trying to get a job there, but the we had a cat that got really sick there, and at the time our animal care coordinator wasn't the brightest, should we say, without being mean. And because of the board didn't want to spend a whole lot of money, we had this volunteer vet who would come in every once in a while, and this one cat who we knew something was wrong with it, and the rest of us would try to tell the animal care coordinator something's seriously wrong with this cat. And this cat literally had, should we say, explosive diarrhea in a way. Like, it would go to the bathroom and he would have it all over the place. And they wouldn't, for some reason, they wouldn't take it to the vet. And sadly, when we finally did get it to the vet, get them to take it to the vet, it was too late. And we actually lost the cat while it was at the vet. And because I had Snickers, they had an autopsy done on the cat. The board. They had an autopsy done on the cat. Then they brought the file back to the animal shelter. And because technically I was kind of an employee, but I technically wasn't an employee. But because I have Snickers, I wanted to know what this cat had. I wanted to know if I needed to be afraid that if I needed to know if it was something that I could bring home to her or my other pet. So when they finally filed the autopsy report, which they did not want anybody to see, so I don't even know why they brought it to the shelter. But I saw the autopsy report, and I seen that in the autopsy it kind of stated that poor care and all, which me, another worker there who I'm still good friends with, another volunteer who I'm still good friends with, we was heartbroken because I clean the cat rooms on Sundays. During the week, Wednesday and Thursday, I cleaned the dog kennels, and then Sunday I cleaned the cat room. So we were close to this cat, and because I cleaned the cat room, I needed to know whether or not if it was something I could bring home to my animals. And if it was, I was going to take the precautions so that I didn't. Well, the board found out that I looked at the file. I went in the file cabinet and looked at the autopsy report. And see, we had incident reports we had to fill out and all that. And then in one of the incident reports, I stated in the one incident report on one of the employees that weren't doing the job. I stated in there that I went in the file cabinet and all, but the board actually kicked me to the curb because I went in the file cabinet to find out if it was something that I could take home to my cat. That's why I'm no longer volunteering at the animal shelter. And on top of that, the one volunteer that I'm still friends with, they accused her of looking at the file when she wasn't even there when I did it. And they kicked her to the curb, who had been volunteering there. She had been dishing out her own money. I mean, I literally watched several cats die while we were there, and even though the board members won't take won't take up the blame for it, sadly the board members are kind of the blame for it because we tried to tell them, they didn't listen. And then we had a few dogs die too while I was there. Or we had one dog die that there was this girl that I still sometimes think she didn't know how to do her job, but she brought a dog back from an adoption event, and the dog was looked like it was highly dehydrated, and I noticed it before we left that day. The dog looked highly dehydrated, so I made sure it had full bowl of water. Sadly, the next morning we found the dog dead in its kennel. So I think this girl who couldn't do no wrong according to the board, and who is still in good cahoots with the board, even though she no longer works there. I think she didn't give the dog water at all that whole day, and it pretty much, I think it was dehydrated. And then after I was kicked to the curb, we had this what kind of dog was he? We had another dog who I found out like a week or two later that I was kind of close to. I found out that another dog had died, that they found the dog in the kennel, and I think they kind of tried accusing one of the employees who loved the dogs more than most people there. They tried accusing him of trying to poison the dog, but that didn't work on him. So, and we knew the ones who pretty much knew what was going on there. Even with me not being there no more, I knew pretty much who would have done something and who wouldn't have. And the guy they was accusing of hurting the dog would never hurt the dog. And then there was another dog who this same employee adopted to this older gentleman. This dog had food aggression and all, but for some reason she adopted it to this older gentleman who didn't understand at all. Well, the dog bit the guy, and instead of him bringing the dog back, he euthanized the dog. And that was a dog that should have never been have been adopted to this guy. I mean, there, there was, let's see, four of us there that we truly cared about the animals. We cared about the cats. We cared about the dogs. And not a single one of us is there anymore. I'm friends with, I'm still friends with two of the people that were there, but none of us are there anymore. And it's just crazy. I mean, they've tried to get two of us back. They've never really tried to get me back, as far as I know. But one of the board members called me a threat to the shelter for some God knows reason why, when I never had done anything wrong. But well, I mean, my time at the shelter, some because I got to know the dogs and I got to love every one of the dogs that went in and out of that place. I got to know them. I got to love them as my own, and I got to know the personality better than I got to know the dogs better than most of the people there because I was there so much. And so when people would come in there, I could kind of tell whether or not if the dog was going to be a good pick for that person or not. And there was times where uh, there was like three people that made the decisions on where the dogs went and where the cats went. And one of the employees did leave me the decisions on some of the dogs, which I was greatly appreciative of that. I mean, the board the board members at that shelter, there's board members that care about the animals, and then there's board members that could care less. And the treasurer there is one of them who really could care less. I mean, and since I left there, um, I think some of the board members have left, and some of them are still the same. But yeah, I mean, there was times when a dog would get adopted, and there for a while, it was sad for me to see the dog go. But on the other hand, it was kind of like a happiness sadness because I knew that dog was getting out of there. And I knew the dog was going to a home to where they didn't have to be caged up all the time. I mean, those poor dogs, because we closed it at 4 o'clock during the weekdays. So the poor dogs were there penned up from 4 o'clock to 7:30, 8 o'clock every night, which was truly heartbreaking for me. But I could tell every time I would go in there, every morning I would go in there, the dogs was happy to see me. And I mean, the day I left, even though I'd been put through so much, I literally cried my eyes out because I didn't realize just how much crap they were putting me through. I mean, I did, but I didn't because I overlooked it. I was more concerned about the animals than myself. Um, and we had like 4 feral cats running around there. There was this one cat that wasn't really, it was scared feral, but it wasn't wild feral. And we had this snowstorm, and one of the employees that I'm still friends with was still working there at the time. And I sent her messages and I said, if you need help, let me know. I said, I'll come in and help you. Even though the board members pretty much just said I wasn't allowed there. They didn't really come out and say I wasn't allowed there, but they didn't want me volunteering there. But this employee, she'd literally given her notice. I had a 4-wheel drive vehicle, and I was going to get there one way or another, even in this bad snowstorm we had. And I literally left my house, drove from my house to there, even though it's just like right around the corner almost from me. Roads are covered in deep snow. And I get there and I start shoveling a path for these feral cats so that they can get to the food and water bowl. And while I'm there, the girl that I'm friends with pulls in there because I was there before she got there. And she goes, don't worry about it. And so I still shoveled a little path. And because the board members had pretty much didn't want me there, I was going to go on and leave after I got done. And she even tried calling the board member, she called the treasurer, who's pretty much the boss when it comes to crap like that for some reason. But she called her and she told her, she says, look, he's here already. Nobody else is probably going to be able to get here. Can I tell him he can stay and help? And this board member tells her, no, I can't tell him I can't. He can't stay because his case is still being reviewed. Well, the board members they'd already made their mind up that they wasn't going to let me come back as a volunteer. So, and that by that board member doing that, the board member was just saying she didn't care if the one person had to do everything by herself. I mean, that's one reason why she stopped working there. She quit, and she actually was the manager of Petco. And the board members kept coming in there and pretty much harassing her, trying to get her to come back to work for them. So finally, she quit Petco and went to work for another animal shelter. And because she said that she missed the animals, but they just kept coming in there and pretty much harassing her, trying to get her to come back to work for them. Even though she told them, "Look, I'm not going to come back to work for you unless you bring these 2 people back," which was me and another volunteer. And they tried bringing back the other volunteer, but they never once contacted me and tried getting me to come back. I don't even really know if I would go back if they tried getting me to come back. I mean, a lot would have to change in order for me to go back there. I might go back. I might go back one day down the road, but as of right now, I don't plan on going back. And when I started my YouTube channel, and I pretty much I might have had like 30 subscribers or so then. I was like, oh, this will work good because I can get the animals out there. I can show them they are with how great they are with kids. I can show them how great they are with playing ball and all. But I never really got around to doing that because shortly after that, I was kicked to the curb. And yeah, I think I've pitched the ideal to them though. But yeah, and that is just it. They would have to change their ways. And I was an employee, or I wasn't an employee. I was a volunteer who I literally mowed the grass, and our riding lawnmower broke. So we had this push mower, and it had to be pushed. The grass had to be cut, so I push mowed it all. Even on like 90-degree weather, I was out there push mowing it and all. And supposedly there is a time, and they tried saying that was one of the reasons why they kicked me to the curb. Supposedly there is a time where I told board members to go scoop poop themselves. And the only thing I can guess is that was the day that it was most definitely a day that I was out there cutting grass in like 90 to 100 degree weather because the grass had to be cut. And most likely when I came in, that's when one of the board members asked me if I would go out and scoop dog poop. And I'm not saying that I wouldn't tell them to go do it themselves, but apparently that they claimed I told one of the board members to go do it themselves. But as my mom even said, they pretty much used me and my mom even tried telling them because she went to one of the meetings with me when they claimed they was going to talk about bringing me back, but they met with me and I brought my mom as because I had told her about everything that was going on. So she came and she tried telling them. And she even tried telling him, look, he was a volunteer. And she tried telling him, look, if he had just come in from cutting grass in 90 to 100 degree weather, and she even told him, I saw him come home days where I was beet red. Like I'd been in the sun so hot, so much that I was sunburned. I was beet red from not drinking enough water that day while I was cutting grass. And yeah, it's like, and they're there for a while because the president of the board claimed he was going to bring gas, and then all of a sudden he told me to just ask him for cash. Well, the days I would cut grass would be the days there. This one employee who I didn't get along with, and I knew daggone well if I would have said, well, I need to get money so that I can go get gas to cut the grass. I knew darn well this employee would try to accuse me of doing something that I wasn't doing because she didn't like me. I didn't like her. And so there for a while, I started buying my own gas and taking it over there to cut the grass. I mean, I probably spent I probably spent close to $1,000 in gas cutting the grass over there. And it was my idea for a volunteer to cut the grass because I told him one time because they kept paying somebody, and I said, well, I told him one day, I said, there's companies out there that would volunteer to cut the grass for a tax write-off. I said, why are we paying somebody to cut the grass when there's dozens of companies out there that would do it for free for a tax write-off? And for some reason, they took it as that was me volunteering to cut the grass. That's how I got stuck cutting the grass. And yeah, like there was the one girl that could do no wrong with the board. I didn't get along at all with her, and I didn't like her, and she didn't like me. And I kind of believe she's part of the reason. She was part of the problem on why I got kicked to the curb. Because she would talk about you behind your back. And she would lie and just a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, it literally went from an animal shelter that had people. It went from an animal shelter having people that cared deeply about the animals to an animal shelter that had employees that just didn't give a crap. And I think about that every now and then. That okay, do those animals that we even have somebody that cares about them over there? But I mean, I've always said that unless the treasurer leaves, I'm not going back because she's one of the people that made the decision on her own that they were going to kick me to the curb. And and like I sent a message to the president of the board, who's no longer the president of the board, but I sent him a message and I said, look, I didn't do no wrong, but yet I'm been kicked to the curb. And back then, I even apologized for checking the file, even though I had a right to and I had a reason to. I even apologized for it because back then I just wanted to be back at the shelter. And I look back now and I'm like, I'm not sorry. And the one employee there she's like a sister, kind of. Me and her had like a brother sister relationship. And she told me once before when they fired a girl, one of the employees there, they fired her just because they wanted her gone. And they paid their employees minimum wage, which was $9.75, $9.25, something like that. They didn't have insurance. I don't really think they had any benefits at all. And when they fired that one, this girl who I had like a brother or sister relationship with, and we were close. We're still kind of close in a way. We don't talk that much anymore, but she told me, she goes, look, you don't want to work here. She goes, and she goes, to be all honest, She goes, they're not going to hire you. They're going to put somebody in there that they can control. They're going to put somebody in that spot that won't go against what they want. And I mean, I was somebody who I would usually do what they asked, but if I knew it wasn't what should have been done, I wouldn't do it. So I mean, I wouldn't go against what I believed in a way. I didn't go against what they asked, but I wouldn't go against what I believed either. And the ones that cared about the animals was the ones that pretty much cried when we lost an animal. And the one volunteer that they tried getting back, they only tried getting her back because she donated money to the shelter when she was there. She donated a good amount of money to them, and that's the only reason they tried getting her back was because they wanted her money back, sadly. I mean, I even went out of my way because they changed the hours of the time we was open while I was there. I even went out of my own way. I made an hour sign for our post out by the road because we always got people coming in there right at the last minute. And I tried telling them, look, we need an hour sign out by the road so that people can see what hours were open. I went out of my way. I made a sign with the hours and all on it. And in a way, I think the board got pissed about it for some reason. I don't even know why. So when I finally left, the day I left it hanging there and on the sign. And then there for a while after I left, I would go by there at night so that just to check to see if anybody had dropped cats. Because I was going to send somebody that worked there a message and say, hey, there's this dog that was left outside, or these cats were left outside because it was cold out. So I was going to send them a message just so these animals didn't get left out in the cold. And I went by there one night and I pulled up next to the sign and I sat there and I looked over at that sign and I finally said, you know what? I bought that sign. I paid for that sign. That sign belongs to me in a way. And I said, you know what? I'm taking my sign back. So I took my sign back. And I still have the sign sitting in my garage because I'm like, you know, I paid for it. I bought it. Might as well take it. You didn't want me there, so why have something that I paid for and I made and all that, and I spent my time on it? Why have something there? Why should I let you keep something that I spent my time, money, and all that on? So I took it back. And and the funny thing is to me is they had a contract with Petco that they could put uh, their cats in cages at Petco. Their people didn't want to clean the cages, right? I mean, and even after I was not there anymore, I would go, especially if I find out that there was a cat that I knew there. I would go by Petco or Pet Value because we also had cats at Pet Value. I'd go by Pet Value and Petco, and I'd sit there, and I'd talk to the cat and all that. But now they've done lost their contract, because they didn't want to care for the cages. And I mean, I can't blame Petco and all. If they're not gonna maintain their cages, why should they let them have their animals there? I mean, they're running a business. They can't have cat cages there smelling to high heaven because their people's not coming and cleaning them. And sadly, there was supposed to be volunteers that did that, and the one volunteer that they kicked to the curb was in charge of Petco on certain days, and she would make sure those cages were clean. I mean, she would clean them from top to bottom. They were clean when she got done. And she would even play with the cat while she was there. But they had other volunteers that didn't. They would not be worried if the cat cage didn't get clean. Like there would be ones that they were supposed to call and say, "Hey, look, we can't get in there to clean the cat cages," so that we could send somebody over to clean them. But there would be times where they would never call, and Petco would call and say, "Look, this cage is not clean. If you don't come clean it, we're gonna make you remove your cat." I mean, we even had a volunteer one time bring a cat back from Petco without a cage. And so this cat was running around in her car loose. And that wasn't the most shocking thing when we found out, because I think I was the first one to see it or find out about it. This woman, she took the cat out in the parking lot. That cat could have jumped out of her hands. She could have, I mean, that cat could have got killed. I mean, there was this one time where we had this dog that was loose running around my house, my yard. It wasn't my dog. It wasn't any of our neighbors' dogs. And I knew how to catch the dog. We got one of the traps. We put some wet food in it. We caught the dog, and we kept the dog for a little bit. Tried to find its owner, and we wasn't able to find its owner. So we finally said, okay, well, we've got to take it up to animal control so that they can do a stray hold. And we took it to animal control. And because we had this first right, if the dog did not get claimed, we was going to go back there, up there. We was going to go back up there and pick the dog up. Well, I had become good friends with the guy, people up at animal control, and I was messaging one day because we had decided we was going to adopt the dog if nobody claimed it. And the guy up there kept saying, well, I'll bring him down to the shelter. And I said, no, don't do that. I said, we're going to come adopt him. And he goes, oh, have Andrea, which was our animal care coordinator, come up and get him. Well, I didn't want that happening either because I knew once AWS, which is Animal Welfare Society, it's actually AWSJC, Animal Welfare Society of Jefferson County. I knew once they got that dog in their possession, it was going to be a lot more expensive for us to get the dog back. And I just knew it would be a lot harder. So I told him, I said, don't do that. I said, we'll come adopt him from y'all. And finally, the owner actually claimed the dog, so we didn't end up getting the dog. The owner actually told the animal control a bunch of bull, but the owner actually claimed the dog, so we didn't get the dog, and the dog didn't go down to the shelter where I was at. And I was so glad they wasn't sending that dog down there. And uh, so there was even days where we would have people drop animals outside the front door of our shelter, and some of them we couldn't believe it because they would drop like huskies, they would drop German Shepherd puppies out there. We would always get puppies, and sadly, that's because people don't want to deal with puppies, sadly, and they would just dump them. And so they would either crate them or put them in a box or something like that and just put them outside the shelter door. And they wouldn't be worried about what would happen to them overnight. We would find them with food in a box or something the next morning. But it always surprised me on why that somebody would do that to a husky puppy or German Shepherd puppy, because those dogs aren't cheap. They're not cheap dogs at all. So for somebody to do that, it was like, wow. Well, it says we got 4 people in here now. I think that the shelter even took up my idea of putting the dogs online, like showing them how they are and all. They took my idea because shortly after I had talked about that was my whole plan when I started my YouTube channel. Shortly after I did a video of that, they started posting on Facebook Live videos of these animals. So I'm pretty sure one of the board members or somebody from there watches my videos. If they do, so be it. Go for them. And I mean, that's one reason why it's so much difficult for me to kind of think of what kind of videos to do on my channel now, because I mean, my whole concept of my channel was originally going to be for putting the dogs and cats from the shelter out there. And now I'm not there, so I've got to think of other ideas. And I don't really know how other animal shelters would feel about that. I mean, some might be thrilled with the idea, some would not. I mean, I've even said that if I ever hit the lottery or if my channel ever took off and I started making a lot of money from YouTube to where I could open my own animal shelter, to where it would be absolutely no kill shelter. The animals would for sure get every bit of medical attention they needed. The dogs that got along with other dogs would have their own room to where they wouldn't have to be caged up. They would just have their own room to play. They would have a great big yard to play in. I mean, and that is kind of my goal one day, if the funds ever were available. And because, there needs to be an animal shelter like that, to where the animals don't feel like they're in an animal shelter. Like the cats would have, the cat room would be one great big room to where the cats that got along with other cats would have a great big room to run, play with the other cats. Like they would have freedom. The animals wouldn't feel like they were in a shelter. And there really needs to be a shelter like that, to where the dogs aren't stressed out. You can literally see the cats in their own environment, to where they don't feel like they're in a shelter. They feel like they're at home. There needs to be a shelter to where to where even when people surrender elder dogs, the dogs can spend their life, the rest of their life, in like a sanctuary, to where they still feel like they're in a family and a loving home. Sadly, there is no animal shelter out there like that, though. And that is my goal one day. One day, if I ever hit the lottery or my channel ever takes off to where I make enough money from YouTube to be able to fund something like that or build something like that. And I mean, I've already got people on board that have already told me, look, if you ever do, let us know. We'll come work for you. We'll come volunteer for you. The one girl who I'm close with from shelter, she's already told me, look, I'll come do the meds for you. I'll come give the animals the medical care that they need if you do that. I mean, so it's really all depends on how long it takes my channel to take off. It really all depends on how YouTube ad revenue goes, whether, like right now it's very low. Because I guess because of the coronavirus and the stocks and all being down. But I mean, it all depends if I ever hit the lottery or, yeah, like a lot of YouTubers buy their parents brand new cars. I would love to be able to do that. So, I mean, I hope one day I can do that and do kind of stuff like that, to where I can give back to the animals. I can give back to my parents for everything they've done for me. I can just be able to give back. Because, I mean, the animals in these animal shelters, and I would be one of the shelters that Lily went to around to other animal shelters and checked to see, like, if a dog had been in there for a while, I would pull that dog from that shelter. If a dog was getting ready to be euthanized, I would pull that dog. If a cat had been there for a long time, I would pull that cat from that shelter. Like, I would literally be the shelter that pretty much was the rescue to those animals. Because I'd be the one saying, look, these animals deserve to be in a pretty much a home. Because if one thing I learned about being in shelter, it's that you couldn't tell a dog, you could not tell a dog's personality with them being in the kennel. You couldn't tell a cat's personality with them being in the cage. Unless they were out of the cage, running around playing, or out of the cage, out in the yard playing, running around free, you couldn't tell their personality. And that was one of the biggest problems with the shelter. Is a lot of the dogs that got looked away, they were loving, caring dogs, but they got looked away. They got looked around because their personality in the cages weren't the greatest. I mean, in my opinion, I wouldn't be the greatest if I was in a cage like the dogs and all. So, I mean, when you look at it the way I look at it, dogs and cats, they don't belong in cages. They belong in open, free room to be able to run, play, roam around. And so many cats might get along with other cats if they weren't caged up all the time. And that was one of the things with at the shelter. We had cats that got along with other cats, and then we had cats that only got along with certain other cats. So we would switch days or nights. Some nights certain cats would get put away in the cages, and then certain nights the other cats would get let out. And that was always the hardest thing to do. So, like I said, if my channel ever takes off the way I want it to, the way I really hope it does, the way that any YouTuber wants their channel to do, if my channel ever took off the way I would want it to, if it ever took off enough to where I'd make the revenue, the income to make those dreams come true, they would most definitely come true. And I would probably have to build the shelter because, like I said, there's no shelter out there that's like that. So even if you didn't build it and you had a building to build off of, you would have to build a lot. So in my ways, it would almost be easier just to build it the way I would want it built. And yeah, then it would be the way I want it. It would be the way it should be. And I truly believe if there was a shelter out there that was like that, there would be more dogs getting adopted out. There would be more animals getting adopted out. Because those animals would be getting the chance they deserve to show their personality, to show how playful they are, to show how good they are with kids, to show how good they are with people. Those are things you can't learn from having them pinned up in a cage. And that is why one day I do plan on having a shelter that I own. One day I do plan on having a shelter to where those animals can do that. To where you can literally interact with the animals, to where you can literally see their personality, to where the animals have a choice, a chance. Because I will say there's so many breeds out there that get a bad rap, not because of what they've done, but because of what people have done to them, because of what people have trained them to do, like pit bulls. I know for a fact pit bulls are not mean. I worked with a pit bull when I was at the shelter. She was the most loving, kindest dog there. She was the sweetest dog there. And she was there for 5 years. For 5 years, she spent her life at the shelter because pit bulls had such a bad rep. Because people train pit bulls to be a fighter. Any dog out there, you train a dog to fight, the dog's gonna fight. The only difference between pit bulls and other dogs is pit bulls have more muscle. So yeah, they are mainly the pick that they pick to train them to fight. And that's completely wrong. No dog should ever be put to that. No dog should ever have to go through abuse by their owner, whether it be animal abuse or whether it be training the dog to fight. No dog should ever have to go through that. And pit bulls shouldn't have the rep that they have because people have been ignorant and trained pit bulls to fight. Yes, pit bulls have bitten people, but if you go back to the stories and you read it, the pit bull was defending their family. And it thought that its family was in harm. So, and I tried to put that out there when I was at the shelter. I tried to tell people when they would say, "Oh, well, she's a pit bull," and I would say, "Well, yes, she is a pit bull, but here's the thing: she's the most sweetest, loving, kindest dog out in this shelter. She was great with kids, great with people. She wasn't good with other dogs or other cats, but sometimes that's normal with dogs." And she spent her life at the shelter until her former owner's son came back for her and adopted her. That was the day she went home to a loving family. And that's one thing I always want to say, and that's a point I will always want to prove. And one day when I have my own shelter, I will be able to show that. I will be able to say, "Look, he's a pit bull, and look how loving he's being. Look how playful he is. Look how great he is with kids," or she. I will be able to show every dog that's gotten a bad rap, and so many HOAs have banned the breeds. I will be able to show just how great those dogs are, just how loving those dogs are, just how caring those dogs are. And it goes for the same for cats. I'll be able to show just how great cats are. And one day it will happen. Don't know when, don't know how long it will be, but one day I hope it will be possible for me to do it. So we got 5 people in here now. Let's talk about something. What y'all want to talk about? Let me know in the chat. Because we got 5 people. Hello, hello. Am I a Trump man? Well, without going into politics, yes, in a way. Just because, when I look at so many things that's been done, Trump he's not a political person. He's a businessman. And, he had the greatest life he could have. He didn't need to run for president. He didn't need to, everything that has happened. He didn't really need to be concerned about it, but he looked at everything and he saw so much things that was not right. And he is the best president we've ever had. I mean, he's already made history. No other president has ever not taken a paycheck. He's donated every single one of his quarter paychecks. And, so many people want to bash him. So many people want to talk bad on him. And especially the Democrats. The Democrats don't want to, the Democrats don't want to me, they don't want to be there for the American people. I mean, it's like I just saw on Facebook, on Fox News, where the Virginia senator, he signed a bill to where illegal immigrants get a card to where they can drive. And to me, that's completely wrong. Because, when we go to get our driver's license, we have to show so many documents that it's not funny. And if you're married, you've got to show even more documents. And then they can get their driver's license and not show a single thing. And not to mention, we have to have insurance on our cars. Well, if they get in a car, they're most likely not going to have insurance on their car. So if they go out there and hit one of our cars, who gets stuck paying for it? The person that has insurance. Even though it wasn't their fault. And I think that is completely wrong. And I've watched the Democrats do that over and over and over again. It's all about the immigrants, the illegal immigrants. It comes to a point where if they're here legally, then great. You've went through the process. You've become a U.S. citizen and all that. You've done everything that you have to do to become a U.S. citizen. But if you're crossing the borders illegally, why should we give you a free place to stay? Why should we take pity on you? You just crossed our border illegally when you shouldn't have. And then it's like Nancy Pelosi, who I made in one of my videos. I made a comment, and I pretty much said she's a disgrace. And I had good reasonings to say that, though. There's one thing to dislike the president, but you rip up a speech that had not only military families' names in it, it had so many names in it, and people that had lost their lives in it, names in it, and all, and she just ripped it up right in front of their family's face. And to them, that was like ripping up their loved one. And to me, she hasn't done a single thing to help our country. If anything, she's tried to stop everything that Trump has done to make our country great. She's tried to impeach our president since before he even took office. And then this whole impeachment scandal, where she keeps saying, "Oh well, he wasn't charged, but he will never get rid of being impeached." Well, he was never charged, so to me, he wasn't impeached because he was never found guilty, and he's innocent until proven guilty, and he was never found guilty. So she can say all she wants, but to me, he was never impeached. They had nothing to impeach him on. And I will say, the two people running against him in the next election, you know, as I said earlier to my parents when it came across the TV, I said, you got idiot one and idiot two. Because they both have made statements that are, Bernie Sanders has done nothing but to, Bernie Sanders has done nothing to even, has said nothing to even say that he would ever help our country, but to make it worse by making our country a socialist. And Joe Biden, who, my opinion, he don't care about the country. I mean, his son, it's been proven with facts, his son was in that whole scandal thing with Ukraine and all that, and yet he's getting to get away with it scot-free. Joe Biden has already stated that he's going to bring back the penalty on taxes, the Obamacare penalty, to where if you do not have insurance, you're going to get charged a penalty when it comes tax time. And that whole thing, I will say, there is people, and my brother is one of them, who they had insurance through the whole Obamacare thing, And my brother got a letter stating that he was made too much money, so they canceled his insurance. And they say he makes too much money. Well, he doesn't make enough money to pay for insurance, but yet Obamacare says he makes too much for their insurance. And then Joe Biden wants to put this penalty back out there that's going to do nothing but hurt the American people, because the people that can't afford to pay for insurance, but Obamacare wants to say they make too much money for insurance, so they don't have insurance, but it's not their fault. But yet they want to hurt the American people by charging them for not having insurance. I mean, I'm not saying everybody shouldn't have insurance, but when 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 the Obamacare says you're making too much for so they cancel your insurance, but you don't make enough to pay for private insurance, and the government doesn't want to, they don't want to do nothing. And that's one thing Trump has been trying to do, is get insurance for everybody that deserves it. But the Democrats want to give insurance to all the illegal immigrants who don't pay a single penny. So the US taxpayers are going to end up paying for their insurance. But at the same time, they probably won't have insurance if they can't afford it. I mean, Democrats keep saying, oh, we speak for the American people. We speak for the American people. I'd like to know who they speak for, because they don't speak for me. And I know a lot of people out there they don't speak for, because they believe in something completely different. And all the Democrats want to do is hurt the American people. They want to make our lives a nightmare. And I even ended up having to take my video down where I stated that Nancy Pelosi was a disgrace over the whole speech thing. I took it down because, I was getting comments on there saying, oh, well, I'm unsubscribing because I think she did great, or I applaud her, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to go there. And I was like, I don't want to cost myself subscribers, even though if that's how you feel, fine, but I don't want to cost myself subscribers for something that's political. I mean, everybody has their own opinions on the whole political stuff, but what she did was a disgrace. And technically she committed a felony by tearing up that speech. I mean, something that still makes me mad is Trump sent in a thing for our veterans to have great paying insurance, where they wouldn't have to they wouldn't have to pay a single penny. And Nancy Pelosi declined it. She turned it down. So the Democrats turned it down. And I mean, Joe Biden, who truly believes he's going to become president, and I don't see it happening. I don't see any Democrat being president for the next 4 years, or maybe even longer, if they don't get their stuff to get straight. But Biden has even made the statement to where he goes, oh, well, we're even going to take the House back. No, you're not. You're going to lose the House, and you're going to lose the Senate. And I mean, just on the news today, Biden got into an argument with a guy in, I forget what state they said, but he got into an argument with a guy at a car dealer factory where the guy confronted him about him saying he's going to take away their guns. And Biden pretty much told him he didn't know that he was full of crap. And that's the nice way of saying it. Is that he said he was full of crap. But it's, and this whole gun issue, something does need to be done about the guns. Yes, I will agree on that part. Background checks need to be done. But, gun owners need to be taking the safety that they should be taking. Like the people with kids, if you've got guns, they need to be locked up in a gun safe. They shouldn't have access to those guns. I mean, that's what I keep. Every time there's been a shooting at a school, they've come back and said that the parent didn't have a gun safe or any safety for that gun. And it just blows my mind, because it's like, really, you're gonna take the responsibility of getting a gun, but you can't take the responsibility of making sure it's safe. It's safely put away to where only you can get to it, or people that's responsible can get to it. And I mean, the senator in Virginia is taking away people's guns already, and I don't even know how he's doing that, because it's unconstitutional. But yeah, he's doing it. And guns don't kill people. People kill people. The only way a gun can do it is if the safety's not put on. And yet the Democrats want to say, "Oh, it's the guns. Oh, it's the guns." No, it's not the guns. I mean, I'm not saying that there needs to be assault rifles and all out there. They can fire round after round after round. I think the military should be able to get their hands on that, but I don't really know if the general public should have them. But it's not the guns. It's people that either shouldn't have a gun, or people that haven't taken the responsibility of making sure their gun is safely put away. I mean, like there's been most of the shootings, like what happened in Vegas, which was oh my God, it was a complete disaster and heartbreaking of what happened in Vegas. All those people that didn't even have a clue what was going to happen. And that man should have never been able to get access to those guns, because he had a medical history that he was crazy, but a background check was never done, or if one was done, it wasn't extensive. And it's just, it all goes back to somebody not doing their job when it comes down to that, the whole gun issue. I mean, it's pretty bad when even cartoons have pretty much tried to prove that guns don't kill people. Guns don't have a mind of their own. and it's pretty sad how, like, on what's that show? I can't think of the name of the show. Um, I don't even know. I can't think of the name of the show, but there was a show, and it was a pretty popular cartoon show. But the guy in there was the daughter in the show was against guns, and the father had guns, and he sat the gun down, and he tried telling his daughter, he goes, guns don't kill people, people kill people. And she goes, no, guns kill people. And he sat the gun down, and he goes, okay, gun, kill. And the gun didn't do nothing because, guns don't have a mind of their own. They're just guns. They can't, unless the safety is not put on like it should be anytime it's not being used. They can't fire on their own. And even then, they can't really fire on their own. They have to be knocked over or something like that. And that's what Trump has tried to point out to the Democrats. Because Democrats are all for taking away our guns. But here's the thing, though. I don't have a gun. I don't really want a gun. But no, I do not have a gun. But and I don't want a gun because, not that I'm crazy or anything, but I just don't trust myself with having something like that. I'm not crazy or anything like that, but I just don't trust myself to have the responsibility of something like that. So that's why I don't get a gun. But Trump has tried to tell him, look, these people that have done all this stuff with these guns, it's people that should never had them. It's people that there hasn't been extensive background checks. Or it's people that's been selling guns and not doing background checks. Because there's a lot of paperwork and all. It all comes down to people need to do their jobs when it comes to background checks. Oh. And I mean, I don't know anybody else's opinion on Alexandria Cortez, but in my opinion, a box of rocks is probably smarter than her. I mean, I don't even know why they would vote her into Congress. Because, I mean, like her whole new Green Deal thing that she proposed. One, it would pretty much put every store out there out of business because because they wouldn't be able to get their products because she wants everybody to run electric cars. she wants our planes to somehow run on cow manure. Don't know how the heck she plans on doing that. She wants our cars to run on electric. She wants our planes to run on like cow manure. And you can only go so much with electric. And even when you go electric, you have to reproduce that electric somehow. Like right now, the Democrats are trying to put one of the main jobs in West Virginia out of work, which is coal. And believe it or not, coal has actually been proven to be cleaner than a lot of fossil fuels. Like it's been proven to burn cleaner than propane. It's been proven to burn cleaner than natural gas. But yet they want to close our mines down and all. But coal has actually been proven to burn fairly clean, unless it's burnt with chemicals and stuff like this factory that's getting ready to go in my county. The facility's already almost done. Rockwool. They are going to be burning rock. They're going to be burning. I don't know if it's coal or rock into melting it down into wool to make insulation. But they're building it right across the street from elementary school, which is technically illegal. But the chemicals they're going to be putting in our air, it's like very hazardous to our health. So we're fighting it right now. But it's like her new Green Deal. There's no way all of the tractor trailers on the road can go electric. Let alone, I don't even know if electric would pull the weight that it would require. I mean, electric cars are good. I will say that. My father has electric cars. He's got a Prius. And I will say, when I look at the gas mileage on his car, and then I look at the gas mileage on my little Volkswagen Jetta, I love my Volkswagen Jetta. I just wish my Volkswagen Jetta got the gas mileage his Prius got. Because he can go almost 500 miles on a tank of gas. So, electric cars are great when it comes to gas mileage and all. So, and I mean, I imagine that probably is going to be the new thing in years to come. But, you can't just go all electric. At least not right now. And, I really don't know how she plans on flying the planes on cow manure. And then there's a few others that are in Congress that I completely disagree with. That I believe they should not be in Congress. And one is, I don't really know her name. It's Talib or something like that. I don't believe she belongs in Congress. I believe she should have been removed from Congress. When her first statement after she got elected was that she was going to impeach the SOB known as our president. In my opinion, she should have been removed from office at that moment. I mean, in my book, you do not have to like the president, but you should still respect him. And you should still show him some respect. Like, something else that just bugs me every day, every time I see a new clip of it. ABC, it's a ABC is owned by Disney Channel or Disney. And ABC has a show called The View. Well, that show should not be still on air because of certain remarks that they have made on that show. And if all you're going to do is pretty much talk trash about the president, well, why do you need a show for that? And Whoopi Goldberg, for instance. My grandmother, before she died, she used to watch that show every day. Whoopi Goldberg was one of the reasons why she watched that show. And she passed away back in 2007. And, I truly believe that if my grandmother was still alive today, she would not still be watching that show. Because, when I watch movies with Whoopi Goldberg in it, I like them. I like her. She's a great actor. But every time I see her on The View, and especially when she starts trashing the president and talking bad about him and all on national TV, I lose all respect for her and I do not like her at all. And in my complete honest opinion, Disney needs to remove that show from their network. Because Disney is all about love, and if you worked for Disney at Walt Disney World or Disneyland, either or, if you was a cast member, which means an employee of Disney, at one of their parks and you made a negative comment like that, you'd be fired that day. Because Disney does not believe in negative comments. They don't believe in negativity. So why are they letting this show that makes negative remarks about the president every day, why are they letting this show remain on their network? Why are they letting these people that are employed by them for their network be on a show that's on their network? I question that every time I see it. And, it's like every time I hear about negative remark that a Democrat has made, it's like, why are they letting them stay in office? It's like, and I will say, I think it was Ted Cruz, was it? Or was it Mitt Romney? It was Mitt. I think it was Mitt Romney that went against his own party. Yeah, it was Mitt Romney when they was trying to impeach Trump. He literally went against his own party and voted for removal of office. He voted for Trump to be impeached. So, in my book, he became a traitor to America that day. And it's just crazy in a way. Oh, I see. I've got 1 dislike and 4 likes. So one of the 5 people watching dislike my video or my live chat. You know, I will say this. You can dislike my video. It doesn't really mean nothing. Because of because of the way YouTube works, it still goes off those ratings. And you know, you're kind of still helping me. I mean, I don't know if maybe you disliked my live stream because I don't know, maybe find it boring. Maybe, you know, I can't say I'm the most interesting person. I kind of find myself boring in a way. I wish I had the energy that some YouTubers out there have, and I am working on getting that energy. But you know, it's not always the easiest. And for me, it's actually very, very um, difficult because, I'm a very shy person. And granted, I've come out of my shell a lot since what I used to be. I used to be very quiet. You didn't hear from me at all. Um, like, I wouldn't even say a word. And my time at the shelter actually brought me out of that shell. But since I've been gone out of from the shelter, I've kind of gone back in that shell a little bit since, uh, you know, since then. I'll probably do more live streams if everybody likes them. Um, like I said, if you want to talk about something, just let me know in the chat, and we can talk about it. And I'll try to talk about it if I know what it is or any of that. I mean, in my live stream, it's the same. I have the same problem that I have with videos is I don't really know what to talk about. Um, like with my videos, I don't really know what to make videos of. But now I did do something like right around the same time I started, or not right around the same time, when I started gaining subscribers, and I took security for my house. I put cameras on my house. Plus, I have a doorbell that has camera. But even if I wasn't a YouTuber, I would probably keep that security because of um, because of the you can't be too careful nowadays. Take some medicine for my cold. And yeah, if I would have thought about it, I would have done a video um, taking my truck up to the dealer to get it serviced. I don't really know if I'll do one when I pick it up. I might. I don't know. Because when I pick it up, we're dropping my dad's Prius off to get its recall work done on it. Now I might do one. When we go to pick it up. I might. I don't know. We'll see. Holy cow! It's almost 2:30 already. Won't be long before I'll be getting off here so I can get some sleep. I do wish it would snow and so we could get a good amount of snow at least once this year. I mean, we barely have gotten any snow here. And, I just wish it would snow at least once pretty good. Because, I just got a brand new snowblower. And I haven't got a chance to use it yet. So I wish it would at least snow once or twice or at least a few times to get a good amount of snow. I might do one on doing a live stream tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. If I do one tomorrow, I'll probably do it earlier so we can try to get a little bit more people in here. We got 6 people, 6 likes, according to this. I guess that's a good thing. And now it says 7 people, 7 likes. You wouldn't really think likes would make that much difference. I mean, whether it's likes or dislikes, it really doesn't in a way. When it comes down to the statistics of the video or live stream, it still says somebody watched it. So 6 people's watching. Well, there's 6 people watching. Let me know in the chat. So 7 people's watching. Well, apparently 8 people's watching. Nobody's letting me know what they want to talk about, though. I guess I guess if there's 8 people, or well, now it's just 7. But I guess if there's 7 people in here, they're either just watching and don't have a YouTube account, or they don't want to talk. Yeah, I have no problem shouting out to anybody. If you got a YouTube channel, I'll check you out, check your channel out, and give you a shout out. It's something a lot of YouTubers won't do. That's one reason why been having such a kind of a struggle on starting my channel. I mean, I'm actually doing pretty good for what I've got so far. But yeah, if you got a YouTube channel, comment your name and maybe I'll give you a shout out because I've got no problem giving you a shout out. What? I'll probably be on here for a little bit longer, and then I'm gonna probably get off here for the night and call it a night, and then possibly get back on here on live again tomorrow. Uh, Depends on what all goes on tomorrow. I don't even know what time I'm supposed to pick my truck up. I just know when they call, that's when I'm supposed to pick it up. Um, I think Snickers is trying to say, turn the light out. At the same time, the dog's over just sleeping away. I I don't know what all YouTubers y'all watch. Whether y'all watch any of the ones I watch. Some of y'all might watch some of the ones I watch, and others might not. I watch a lot of them now on there. Like, there's all different kinds of YouTubers I watch. Like I watch Kid Behind the Camera. I watch um, McJuggernuggets. I watch Bill's T Max. I watch Lance Stewart, Lizzie Worst. What's some of the other ones I watch? Ron Pratt, who does a lot of towing videos. Um, just a lot I watch on there. I watch Spencer's Lawn Care. Um, Loud and Proud, the G Team. Um, I watch Elvis Presley's World. The Ace Family. I watch Big Brother, Brawadis, Larry's Lounge. I did watch uh, Angry Grandpa. I watched The Angry Grandma. Just a lot that I watch. Like I'm subscribed to a lot of subscribers on there. Mm-hmm. I was sitting here looking at a friend's Facebook. Alright. Well, I guess I'm gonna be getting off here shortly because it's already 2:42 and nobody else is talking. So, like I said, I might do a live stream tomorrow. Actually, I probably will do one tomorrow if I get time. Um, I'll probably do it early because I'm pretty sure I didn't get a whole lot of people in here tonight because I did it so late. But like I said, a lot of my subscribers are actually on the other side of the country, so I kind of figured they would be in here, but they're not saying nothing if they are in here. So, um, I mean, it's not really sense of staying on here if nobody else is talking. So actually looking to see if his obituary was on here yet, but I don't see it yet. If his family even does an obituary. But you guys, we've been on here for I think 3 hours. I think it's been like 3 hours. I think I went live around 12 something. This is like, I think this says 3 hours and 13 minutes. So, like I said, I'll probably be on tomorrow, or should we say today? And I'll probably be on today and sometime later on around, I don't know when, but sometime today, since it's already 2:46 in the morning. But yeah, I'm gonna get off here, you guys, and I'll catch you in the next live stream. And hopefully, there's more people in here to talk to. Always getting to know my subscribers and all that. So make sure you tune into the next live stream. And I guess I'm gonna get off here tonight. So if I think about it, I might do a video when we pick it up, but I don't know. We'll see. So, like I said, I'll see y'all in the next live stream. See ya.